Still putting off replacing your old appliances? I'm Rob Nicholson, the appliance guy. At East Coast Appliance, we're Virginia's largest independent appliance dealer of top brand names. Plus, we have a huge selection of brand new scratch and dent appliances at discounted prices. Visit East Coast Appliance today. The best price, or it's free. Shopping for an appliance but not sure where to start? This is Rob Nicholson from East Coast Appliance, and we believe the first step to finding the perfect appliance is to know exactly what you're looking at. For over 34 years, we've taken pride in becoming Virginia's largest independent appliance retailer with a full staff of knowledgeable appliance experts. So shopping with us first will help you through this process. Whether you decide to buy from us or not, you'll leave with the knowledge you need to make the best appliance selection for your home. East Coast Appliance, the best price, or it's free.
Your home for Richmond Spiders athletics all year round. W291CL Lakeside Richmond. WURV HD2 Richmond. We are 1061 ESPN. Richmond, it's time to get your morning going. Slice them up.
We are going to wreak havoc.
The only thing I am thinking about is the game.
Holy catfish! Touchdown, Seahawks!
Rashid Shaheed. Richmond Sports Talk by Richmond sports fans. This is Fitz the Bill with Jack Fitzpatrick. All live from the capital of the Commonwealth, where sharp analysis, your cause, and Richmond always come first. If it's making headlines locally or nationally, we're breaking it down. Now, live from the capital of the Commonwealth, Fitz the Bill with your host, Jack Fitzpatrick.
Good Monday morning, March 9th. Appreciate you clocking in, getting your day started with us right here on Fitz the Bill, 1061 ESPN Richmond, the ESPN Richmond app, ESPNRichmond.com. Also streaming live on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. If you want to watch the stream live, just type in ESPN Richmond. We'll pop right on up, and you can watch the stream. You can be part of it by liking, commenting, and subscribing. And, of course, you can be part of the stream by texting in or calling in 804-327-0888 on the Radkey Insurance phone line. We are back on this Monday morning. Appreciate Alan for holding things down. Last week, I was down in Rock Hill, South Carolina, doing the South Atlantic Conference women's basketball tournament. It was an absolute blast down there. In case you were curious, Coker won the SAC women's basketball tournament. I know that holds a lot of weight here in Richmond, Virginia. But Alan, appreciate you for holding it down the back half of last week. How things go for you?
I'm tired, boss.
Hey, darn right, aren't we all? That's what it is. And you got to be more tired going down to Charlotte for the ACC tournament.
Yeah, the schedule looks pretty good though.
About to see Baby Boozer in person.
Yeah, Baby Boozer. I get to see him. I get to see UVA, Virginia Tech. I think is the first team up on the list for me to watch. And then a young man from Stanford I talked about last week, just briefly, but I want to see him play too because he's like
the Stojakovic kid.
No. He's in Illinois.
Oh, wait. I thought he went from Illinois to State. That's right. He went Stanford.
He went
Illinois.
from Cal to Illinois.
That's right.
I thought he was going to North Carolina. I'm not going to lie. But I know Baby Pager won't be there, unfortunately. But we got Baby Boozer, so it's a fair trade-off.
Yeah, pretty good trade-off. But should be fun down there. You got Duke winning it all, I assume?
Oh, yeah, man. I still don't see a way that Duke loses. And even if they have a really bad game, they've been able to overcome those games. And like I said, for the folks who've never experienced the ACC championship, I mean, obviously it's in Charlotte. I'm pretty sure it's the same way when it was in Greensboro. But when North Carolina plays, it turns into Chapel Hill. When Duke plays, it turns into Cameron Indoor. And if North Carolina plays before Duke, I don't care if Duke plays at 8 o'clock and Carolina played at 11. Those Carolina fans stay until Duke comes. And then it gets really hostile. Like the whole atmosphere will change when the Carolina teams play. So I fully expect it to be just as advantageous as what it was or what it has been when they've been at Cameron Indoor.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Should be a good time. Maybe UVA has an outside shot. Probably not, but Duke looking like it's the Duke Invitational, the Blue Devils Invitational.
Still got to line up and play.
Still got St. Louis had to line up and play, and they couldn't get it done. And that brings us to
they're the champions.
That brings us to
celebration?
Our 3 best things from the weekend. And number 3 is probably the best one after what St. Louis, complete egg on their face in St. Louis. The 3rd best thing we saw from the weekend.
Number 3.
The A-10 is drunk and it's beautiful, because on March 4th, Alan, did you know St. Louis cut down the Nets? They thought they were the Atlantic 10. I thought they were the Atlantic 10 champions. Tony Skinn, after Mason's win over St. Louis, said, quote, "It's a dangerous thing when you cut the nets a little bit too early, and that gave us all the life and all the motivation we needed." Sometimes VCU fans and Mason fans can come together for the unity of the Atlantic 10.
No,
Yes.
let's not go that far. we do thank them for their contribution.
Billikens went 3-3 down the stretch. They finished A10 play 15-3.
Are they in the top 25 still? Because I think that might have knocked them out because they were on the edge.
They were fringe. I know that much. I would not be shocked if the AP top 25. I did not look if they were still ranked because it does not matter. In my opinion, I still am in the camp that I do not believe a Atlantic 10 team is going to get an at-large bid. I just think the committee is going to find some way to kind of push them out. As it stands now, VCU is like of the last 4 in, they are the last 1 in. St. Louis is not on that bubble, but right now they're assuming St. Louis is going to win the Atlantic 10, so they're not put into those types of scenarios. It's all confusing, but
there's got to be a lot of hangover from Indiana State for these St. Louis guys because a lot of them came from that team that got left out, and they were I think
they should not have been left out.
Yeah, net wise they were top 32.
They were
the
highest net team to be left out. There's no reason they should.
They can't possibly be comfortable right now.
And I think they know better than anyone. Robbie Avila knows better than anyone that they will leave you out for another team, for an Auburn, for an under 500 Auburn team in SEC play.
I hate to bring this up, but my CAA fans will remember Tony Skinn's a dog, man. He was a dog as a player. I'm pretty sure that translates as a coach. The one person on that staff in that Mason area I would not give motivation to is actually the coach. I would have not given him the fuel he needed.
That team plays like his personality. They are Tony Skinn. There are a bunch of Tony Skins on the court. Like they play with that type of mentality, and SLU gave it to him. And now the Atlantic 10, after St. Louis cut down the Nets on March 4th, they acted like they won the whole thing. They had their post-game press conference with the Nets around their neck saying they were the regular season champions. Now they are tied. It's co-regular season champions as VCU also finished 15-3. And you got to imagine VCU is kicking itself for losing that game in St. Louis. Because if they had beaten that game, I didn't dive into the diebreakers, but there's a good shot that they are the outright champions.
Yeah, for sure.
As a bummer loss, bummer blown lead there for VCU, but gives them the necessary, I think, ammunition heading into the postseason.
How many more chances are they going to get this thing right? You know, like St. Louis keeps leaving the door open.
Yeah, and they're going to probably get St. Louis, assuming there's no upsets, and that's a pretty large assumption considering St. Louis just kind of fell on their face 3 times down the stretch. I mean, you were poised to be a top 15 team, maybe top 12 team in the AP top 25 heading into March Madness if you were able to just continue doing what you had been doing to start the season, win the Atlantic 10. You could have had a really good seed heading into March Madness. Instead, they fall on their face 3 times. They finish A10 play 15-3, 3-3 over their last 6. You cut down, there's so many things they just did wrong. And it's just so funny. And you text me that the Atlantic 10 is drunk, and it truly is drunk. It is truly what a beautifully ugly conference. And I say that with all the love. Every year there's a Dayton that's supposed to dominate the conference, and Dayton every year falls on their face.
St. Louis was the Dayton of the Midwest.
It truly is. And that's why the Atlantic 10, there's one thing you can rely on in the Atlantic 10, VCU to be a top 3 seed. Outside of that, open game. All right, the second best thing I saw over the weekend.
Number 2.
Jason Tatum made his return to the Boston Celtics. They won both of their games, including a pretty convincing win last night over the Cleveland Cavaliers. Tatum is shooting 37.5% in 2 games back.
So mid-season form.
Exactly right. 12.7 points per game, 7.5 rebounds per game, 4.5 assists per game. In his first game back against the Dallas Mavericks, he was, I think, 3 assists away from a triple-double. I mean, good stuff. Really, really solid stuff. And for Boston, I think it's a shot in the arm for a team that all of a sudden has NBA final aspirations. I mean, what they were able to do without Jason Tatum, and it's been talked about ad nauseum, has been phenomenal. Jaylen Brown put the team on his back without Kristaps Porzingis, who they shipped out, Al Horford, who they didn't re-sign, Drew Holiday, who they shipped out to the Portland Trailblazers. This was supposed to be a rebuilding year, kind of hit the tank button for one season, maybe get a good draft pick, bring them into the fold with Brown and Tatum, and then you can attack 2027. They said, no. Jaylen Brown said, no, we're putting the team on my back and we're taking it. And he set them up where they are in prime position to be an NBA Finals contender. And the way Jason Tatum, I know it was only 2 games, but the way he slotted in the lineup on a minutes restriction, he looks really solid.
Yeah, I hear Tatum, I hear Brown. I don't hear praise from my guy Derek White.
Yeah, there's a reason why.
Which is unfortunate.
It is unfortunate when I listen to I love the Zach Lowe show.
He's pacing them,
everything like that. Zach Lowe went on his show and he goes, Derek White's probably your favorite basketball player's favorite basketball player. The dude just plays basketball the right way.
He does.
And I was like, man, I want to hear it on my podcast.
He's just a guy, man. I love it, man. He fills in the blanks.
He's too bald to be good.
When you go bald, you literally ascend in basketball.
No,
every player
bald.
who's went bald has. Look at Wemby.
Wemby went Shaolin Monk.
Yeah, he went bald. Look at his team. He's having the best season of his career so far in his early career. Yeah,
man.
I'm telling it's Kobe, Jordan. There's others who went bald and just ascended, man.
And Derek White, we can put in the same category as Kobe Bryant. You're right.
LeBron should cut his hair off and get that last championship.
Not with the way that when Luka and Austin Reeves are on the floor together and LeBron is off the floor, you know what they do? They win basketball games. I know. They beat the Knicks they handled the Knicks last night with LeBron off the court.
But
not a good look for my boy.
The Tatum thing, it still got too much drama for it, man. Like this idea that they're either better without Tatum or they need to ease him back in a way that it doesn't disrupt the chemistry. The system, that team is built to accommodate Tatum and Brown.
Yeah.
And so
you need Tatum and Brown.
Him sliding in makes complete sense to me from a scheme standpoint. Like, he's doing what he's supposed to be doing. He's doing what they need, right?
Yeah, and I think it was blown out of proportion because I think Tatum is way too media trained to the point where Tatum had that one quote where he's like, I'm going to do what the team needs of me if that means I come off like whatever it was, when he wasn't just like staking his claim in the team and he was being almost way too deferential to Jaylen Brown. I think that got blown out of proportion. I think it's really just the fact that Jason Tatum is way too media trained. He's going to take what's his. Him and Brown are going to slot in well together. The whole chemistry part of it is being blown out of proportion because you know why? His A1 player or A or B1 player, whatever you want to say about it, they've played so much basketball together. They know what it takes to win basketball games, to win championships together. So Jason Tatum missing the beginning of this part of the season, it'll be fine because they know how to play together. And that's the biggest part. How do Brown and Tatum play together? I don't care how Tatum plays with Peyton Pritchard. I don't care how Jason Tatum plays with Kata. I just want to see how Tatum plays with Brown. They already know how to do that. They'll be fine. And I think they are the scariest team now in the Eastern Conference as Tatum starts to build up his minutes again, gets back used to the NBA speed, and gets back into the flow of it. That they are the scariest team in the Eastern Conference now. And it makes my next pick look all that more wishy-washy.
I love Overreaction Monday.
That's coming up later on, hour number 2. And the number one best thing I saw over the weekend, it happened in the 11th hour, quite literally last night.
Number 1.
Man, the Division II selection show was at 11 p.m. last night. That's way too late. That is way too late. But it was worth it for Virginia Union, who got an at-large into the NCAA tournament. Union lost its first game in the CIAA tournament. They lost to Johnson C. Smith, a team they beat up on in the regular season. They then kind of fell on their face in the CIAA tournament up in Baltimore. It wasn't a foregone conclusion that Virginia Union was going to get an at-large into the NCAA tournament, the Division II NCAA tournament, but they did. They are the 7th seed in the Atlantic region, and they're going to face off against the 2nd-seeded West Liberty Hilltoppers. Union already beat West Liberty earlier this season inside Barco Stevens 94-88. And just for housekeeping purposes, Fayetteville State, the CIAA champs, they got the automatic bid. They are the 5 seed in the Atlantic region. But Union had a historic season, one of their best in recent memory. They were dominant for large portions of the season. I would say for 75% of the season, Union was absolutely dominant. They boasted the number 1 scoring defense in the nation. They had a great fast break offense. They had a good offense in general between Malachi Dark, Bobby Gardner, both all-conference selections. Head coach Jay Butler was named the CIAA Coach of the Year. They looked poised to win the CIAA. Then down the stretch, things faltered a little bit. I would argue they played probably their 3 worst games in their 3 final games of the season, where they went 1-2. Well, those 2 losses, a loss against Virginia State, that was to lose the 1 seed in the CIAA tournament in the regular season finale. Then they lost to Johnson C. Smith in the CIAA tournament in Baltimore. Now they get one last chance to kind of shake that off and maybe go on a run, because this is a team with the number 1 scoring defense in the nation. This is a team, when they are firing on all cylinders, one of the toughest teams to beat. And that was evidenced by their game earlier this season against West Liberty, where they really, really showed, put the nation kind of on notice that they were a team not to be messed with. So should be a fun time there in the NCAA tournament, as a Union gets the 7th seed as an at-large.
Yeah, I was a little worried because of, and maybe it's just because of the PTSD of how they do it in the Division I sense, where like people are absolutely punished for bad showings down the stretch and in their tournament.
Yeah.
But they definitely have the talent and should be in there. And honestly, that would probably be a worst case scenario for a lot of people to play a team with that kind of talent.
I know,
as a 7 seed.
I know West Liberty's worried about it.
Yeah, it's not an ideal matchup.
I mean, Union is a very good basketball team. It was a bummer that they played probably their 3 worst games in the 3 most important games of the season. And the way Division II does it, it's the top 8 teams in each region that makes it. Each region, I believe, is comprised of 3 conferences. The conference winners from each of those, they get the automatic bid, and then the 5 at-larges fill in the rest. So Union had a good shot of getting an at-large because they have been one of the top teams in the Atlantic region for the entirety of the season. They've been ranked in the top 25 for a large portion of this season as well. But as we all know, VCU a year ago, when they were said if they didn't win the A-10, they wouldn't have gotten an at-large, everything like that. I think people in the area are a little worried when the at-large word pops up, and Union just snuck in as the 7th seed out of 8 teams in the Atlantic region. Division II has the most interesting NCAA tournament of all the divisions. It's making I had to become an expert of it this weekend down at the South Atlantic Conference, because you always have to talk about the potential scenarios with the teams losing and everything like that. I had to do a full deep dive in how Division II breaks it down, and it's all region-based, top 8 teams in the region. Union is the 7th best team, according to the committee, according to the numbers, according to whatever you want to say, 7th best team in the Atlantic region. So they'll be playing in the NCAA tournament. Should be fun. They're better than a 7 seed. If they had won the CIAA tournament, they probably would have been a 2 or a 3 seed in the region. And so now West Liberty, they just get one of the best teams who put together a great regular season. Congratulations. That's your reward. Union will look to bounce back and go on a bit of a run. All right, we got no guests today. Just want to hear from you. 804-327-0888. You can call, you can text into the Radkey Insurance phone line on this Monday morning. Overreaction Monday as well. So get your overreactions in from the weekend that was. That's coming up at 9:30 later on in hour number 2. All right, let's get a break in. We'll get a quick break. Come back, talk some college basketball, because there was some big news that came out in terms of Spider men's basketball over the weekend. We'll break that down and so much more right here on Fitz the Bill.
Weather reports on 106.1 ESPN Richmond, brought to you by Herman Allen Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, a premier Lennox dealer. Online at HermanAllenPlumbing.com.
Henrico Sports and Entertainment Authority Executive Director Dennis Bickmeyer joins Bob Black for the Henrico Huddle, ESPN Richmond's newest monthly feature.
Taxes was feeling so stuck. Sitting in traffic, squeezing into a parking spot, all to squeeze in getting tax help during your lunch break. Now Taxes is a TurboTax expert who does your taxes for you, while you go about your day getting real-time notifications about their progress and the most money back guaranteed. Now this is Taxes. Intuit TurboTax. See guarantee details at turbotax.com/guarantees. Only available with TurboTax experts. Real-time updates only in iOS mobile app.
Did you know GoodRx can help you save on medication, manage prescriptions, and get trusted health information? If you're one of the millions living with a heart condition, check GoodRx for an easier, more affordable way to manage your health. GoodRx offers common heart medications for under $30. Just search for your prescription, find the best price, then show your pharmacist the GoodRx coupon. and it works whether you have insurance or not. To start saving and better manage your heart health, download the free app or visit GoodRx.com today. GoodRx is not insurance but can be used instead of insurance, including Medicare and other federal and state-funded programs.
Amber and Ian.
Dan Orlovsky revealed on Unsportsmanlike that he had an offensive coordinator fall asleep during a game. Michael is calling us from South Carolina.
Just basically learn how to sleep and drive a tank at the same time. You just got to be a light sleeper. Don't sleep hard. That's all.
How does one ensure
people are driving tanks and they're sleeping?
Amber and Ian. Weeknights at 7 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on Sirius XM Channel 80. This is Freddie and Harry on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
When I look at the Detroit Pistons, the only guy that can create their own shot and score at will is Cade Cunningham. So if he is not consistent playing basketball, whatever night they're playing, if he's having an off night, then it's desperately going to show up within the Detroit Pistons because they don't have anyone else that can create on their own.
Check out more from Freddie and Harry weekdays at 3 Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
Coming up on the Monday edition of the Sports Huddle, we'll recap a wild weekend of college basketball and get you set for conference tournament action all week long. 4 until 6 here on 106.1 ESPN.
106.1 ESPN traffic.
Expect heavy traffic heading west on 64 between Mechanicsville Turnpike and 95 interchange. There's been a wreck heading south on 288 just before Iron Bridge Road, causing delays from the Kuala Road underpass. And just be aware of some delays heading east on Midlothian Turnpike between County Line Road and Old Hundred Road.
Game on, Richmond. Crank up 106.1 ESPN for live play-by-play, blistering hot takes, and nonstop action. Your ticket to the hype. Stay dialed in.
Welcome back in, Fitz the Bill. I was waiting for a beat drop on this one, but I don't think we're ever going to get to one. So welcome back in on this. That's horrible. That's horrible. That's not what I thought it was going to be. All right, welcome back in. It's a Monday morning, March 9th.
You don't like a little pop on Monday?
That wasn't pop. That was like corporate pop. That's like what you play when you're like sitting down there like, welcome to new hire orientation. We're so excited to have you here today.
Oh, I don't know what happened to you in North Carolina. You're a bully.
Nah, that wasn't a good song.
Mad at the bumpers and stuff. All right, I got you.
I'm just saying. I got taste now that I went down to Charlotte.
Sounded real Izzo-like right now. You need to calm down, sir.
Okay. I see. That was corporate pop. Okay. That was not pop. That's all I got to say on that. College basketball. We had a lot of college basketball stuff happen. In case you haven't been paying attention to the Sun Belt, there's the whole hashtag Stairway to 7. Have you seen that with the Sun Belt because of the way they?
I hate the format. But yes,
okay, well you're wrong.
I know. It's not popular opinion.
No, I think it's a 50-50 split because I think after last season it was cool last season, and then this season it's like, wait a second, you guys are doing it again. I thought this was like a one-time thing. Stairway to 7 is having a team that plays in the first 2 games. They win 7 games in 7 days. That's not going to be done. But Stairway to 6 is still in play. Georgia Southern is still playing in the championship game tonight. They have won 5 games in 5 days. They take on Troy. Could potentially be 6 wins in 6 days for Georgia Southern, which would be absurd. We saw what in Arch Madness with the Missouri Valley Conference. They had a team win 4 games in 4 days, and that was crazy, never seen before. Who knows? And that could bode well for Richmond, who's going to have to win a lot of games in a lot of days now that they find themselves in the pillow fight round where they're going to have to take on Loyola Chicago. And they're looking for any sort of momentum that they can possibly have heading into next season. John O'Connor was first on this, but John Hart Friday night said Mooney will return for his 22nd season as Spiders head coach in 2026-27. Since 2021, here are some stats. Chris Mooney is 101-87, 48-52 in Atlantic 10 play. He has just 10 A-10 wins over the last 2 seasons. Quadrant breakdown over the last 3 years. Over the last 3 years, Richmond is 2-10 against Q1 opponents, 5-12 against Q2 opponents, 20-19 against Q3 opponents, and 18-10 against Q4 opponents. They will bring Chris Mooney back for his 22nd season, and now You look towards what is an A-10 tournament where you face off against Loyola Chicago, a team you just lost to, in a disappointing 0-3 finish to the season, and you got to start asking questions for the offseason. Can you bring back Aiden Argabright, arguably the best freshman in the Atlantic 10? Can you bring him back, and can you add a couple of pieces in the transfer portal? How does Richmond have this buy-in? Where does Richmond go in it? Really tough loss this last time out in the regular season finale as well. Richmond had a 30-point lead, and they lost.
All right. I mean, we've said tough loss a lot this year, and I think I'd be the Lorax for the fan base on this one. That's not a tough loss. That's beyond tough. That is inexcusable. And again, I know Coach Mooney and those guys obviously know the embarrassment that brought on the program, on themselves. I mean, they were second on the top 10 plays, and just an absolute egregious situation where you cannot be last to the ball. You have to hustle. That is a fundamental principle of competition, is to hustle. There's no excuse for that guy to be able to follow that shot and not have a body on him and tap it back in.
They were dominating on the offensive boards. That's how Duquesne came back and eventually won it. They dominated on the offensive boards.
And again, that I don't think that is a coaching thing. Like I said, it's a layered situation. But, man, at some point, you just get tired of it, man. They're now reinventing ways to lose games.
If you're a Richmond fan, I don't know how you go into next season with any hope.
I would.
It's very tough. Like, looking at the stats over the last couple of seasons, it is quite interesting to me that Richmond decided to bring Mooney back for another season. 21 years is a long time in one spot. He has only accumulated 10 A-10 wins over the last 2 seasons. Over the last 2 seasons, just one Q1 win. They've gone 1-7 over the last 2 years. They only had 3 Q1 opportunities this year. Richmond over the last 2 seasons is 0-8 against Q2 opponents. They have a losing record against Q3 opponents, and they've got a 500 record against Q4 opponents. I don't see how that is good enough to come back for a 22nd season.
I don't understand what the strategy is here for the program, for the athletic department, the direction. But if they're going to bring Coach Mooney back, and obviously they are, they need to do a real deep assessment on every single thing about this program and about how they have approached this season
and how they approach the portal. Sure, right. Like, effort is something that is player based, not coach based. And you could argue that the loss against Duquesne and a lot of the losses this season have been not coaching based losses. But then also you've got to look at who is bringing in these players in the transfer portal. Where do they go wrong in their player evaluations? How does that happen? You've got to figure that out. You're good at finding freshmen, right? Aiden Argabright is a wonderful freshman. You got him from right here in Richmond. He played at John Marshall. Now he's a standout in the Atlantic 10. How do you find more players like that, but through the transfer portal? Because you're going to need to get at least 2 impactful players and retain Aiden Argabright. And that's a big, big and.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all in on Argabright if I'm the Spiders. Any kind of way you can. Like, you have to go all in. And I know there's been obviously rumors and speculation thrown around of the in-state bigger programs like Tech and UVA that would probably poach him or try to poach him from Richmond. But it's not just Argabright. Bringing him back is one thing. Like, you talked about the portal. Like, they need to change their idea of what a basketball player is as far as like the fit for their program, because they're missing something, and it's a big miss, and it's not. I don't think it's something that particularly ends with Coach Mooney. I really think when you let these guys loose on the floor, there's a lot of guys out here that are just not performing at the level that you can win consistently and compete consistently in the A-10 and abroad, right? Like, Loyola Chicago is not good, and we're questioning whether or not this is an opportunity for them to maybe blow the game, because they've already lost to Loyola Chicago, a team that you would even wonder if they even know they're playing basketball. Sometimes they're not good. They've had moments where they come back on like a VCU, and then they have moments like where they blow a 30-point lead.
You beat Mason, right? Like February 10th. I remember coming on here on February 11th, that Wednesday morning, and just heaping the praises on them because it looked like they had figured something out. It looked like they had turned the page on that 6-game losing streak, and they were putting things going forward. Then they have the VCU loss. They get down big. They have a good comeback. Looks like, all right, maybe they've started to figure something out. You then have a very close road loss against Davidson. Okay, I can look past that because your final 4 games of the season are all very winnable. You beat St. Bonaventure, 99 points. All right, here we go. Final 3 games, all winnable. Let's see what happens. You lose to Loyola Chicago. You lose to Dayton. You lose to Duquesne, all by single digits. 2 of the 3 by 1 possession, all 3 by 2 possessions or less. Like, it's just tough. It is really tough. And if you're a Richmond Spiders fan, I don't know how you go into next season with hope. Like, it is a very tough spot to be in, and they're going to need to really take a hard look at their basketball program to see how they can turn the page if they want to turn the page and become an A-10 contender year in and year out. Because if you don't want to do it, that's fine, but you got to be upfront about that.
Yeah, now be honest with yourself and understand that the rest of the Atlantic 10 is out here trying to win, and they're doing the necessary things. And it's not just about money. They're doing the necessary things that need to be done to put their programs in a better position to win. And I think Richmond needs to figure out what that looks like for them and go from there. Like I said, I think we all can agree, everybody that's involved in the program and who's watched and engaged with the players, what happened this year cannot happen again.
Yeah, it can't. It can't, and it's happened the last 2 years now. And the fact that they are 0-8 against Q2, 1-7 against Q1, just a very, very tough spot to be in. All right, let's go out to the phone lines here on this Monday morning. The Radke Insurance phone line is we've got Chris on line 1. Good morning, Chris. How are we doing?
Good morning, Jack. Good morning, Alan.
Morning.
The good and bad. A double bye is a great thing. However, I was kind of disappointed in this win on Saturday. I know it's a win, but there were three times in that game where we had double-digit leads and pretty decent ones, and still could not close it out. I mean, it was 22-5, 41-25, so forth. That is what worries me about us. And you know, even in the NCAA tournament, we get a big lead and we just can't keep our foot on the next. We let teams right back in it. I mean, that's been sort of some of the play all ACC long. We get these big leads, and I just don't know what it is, if we just lax or we go cold, but it's a little concerning going into the ACC tournament and now getting ready for March, because there are no errors at this point in the season. You cannot make errors. You got to be on top of your game. You got to close those things out.
I mean, that is a huge, huge thing they've got to figure out, because you're right. Watching that game, it's like, all right, you've built up this lead. Now step on their throats, finish it. And they just kind of kept letting them back in. And you're going to have a feisty team that you're facing off against in the quarterfinals after that double bye, whether it is Stanford or Pitt or NC State, whoever it might be. They're going to be in a rhythm, and you can't afford to have any cold stretches and let them back into the game.
Yeah, it's unfortunately, we've always done that. Even under Coach Bennett, we just get these leads and just I really don't know what it is, but it's a little worrisome because, like you said, if you're on the opposite end of a stretch in a game and momentum changes, it can get bad.
I will say the plus side, even with that, still 10-1 to finish out the season. Really, really great. So with a 2 next to your name, like, you've got the momentum heading into it. The end goal, right, in March is to win the basketball games, and more times than not, UVA has done that this season, so they've got that going in their favor. But, yeah, when the margins get a little bit tighter, you've got to find a way to pull it out.
Yep, and I agree with you. Great season. With all that aside, great season. I would not have pictured it this great the first year with Odom. So he's my candidate for – I know I'm biased. He's my candidate for ACC Coach of the Year. No question about that. Now's the test. We can see if we can win a game in March, because we haven't done that in a while, and neither is Odom.
You're very, hey, he won a couple last year. He won the A10 tournament last year.
There.
Yeah, he won the A10 tournament last year.
No, in March, the NCAA tournament. It's been UMBC was the last win.
You're right. The NCAA tournament. That is correct.
Hey,
but he did win the A10 in March last year.
VCU might have beat BYU, but UVA had already signed him to a contract. So that's your fault.
Well, yeah, true. He knew the tip off. He was out of there.
Yeah, so that could be it. UVA was doing a little advanced scouting of their own to impact
legal
that.
tampering.
I think that was illegal.
Well, y'all have a good day, guys.
Appreciate it, Chris. Have a great rest of your day. I think that's illegal tampering.
I couldn't even face Chris, to be honest with you, because I was rooting against UVA just for VCU to get the bump on Tech being a quad one.
Yeah, I mean, we'll talk about VCU later on in hour number 2 because their at-large resume is quite interesting. Right now, Lenardi has them squarely on the bubble. I love Bracket Matrix. Bracket Matrix takes a look at all of the accredited bracketologists around the nation, and they kind of rank it and see how it all stands. As it is right now, VCU is featured in 73 of 79 brackets on Bracket Matrix. Say that 10 times fast. An average seed of an 11. So it looks like things are trending for VCU to make it into the tournament, even without winning the Atlantic 10 tournament. But still, you never know. And the fact that VCU's Q1 record isn't all that great. Virginia Tech, if they could have gotten that UVA win to become a Q1 game, that would have looked a lot better, would have been their third Q1 win because right now Dayton is flirting with that line, South Florida as well. So right now, as it stands, VCU is 5-7 against Q1 plus Q2, and they have dominated Q3 and Q4, 19-0 against them. But if Virginia Tech had been able to get that win against UVA, would have been another impressive notch in VCU's belt. Instead, it stays at a Q2 game. And that's the part of the season that we are at where wins become, the witching hour? Wins become losses and losses become wins. This is when Q2 wins become Q1 wins and whatever it might be. All right, let's go out to the phone lines on line 2. We've got Midlow Dan out there. Good morning, Midlow Dan. How are we doing?
Good morning, gentlemen. How are we doing?
Great.
Listen, it was the Alan Sandage show last week. The man did great.
I know. I listened in. He filled in well. I was worried that he wouldn't let me back, actually.
I was going to say, I thought they're going to change the name of the show. So,
Well, he doesn't have a last name that says punnable. Well, there's sand in there, so it could work. It could work.
Oh, we can figure something out. Listen, I wanted to go back to the NBA for a minute, if I could just have an opinion about two different things. One is, I'm thinking it could be a coin flip between either the coach for Boston Celtics or the coach for the San Antonio Spurs, as far as whoever gets deeper in the playoffs and maybe wins the championship, the way both those teams are going and the coaching efforts that took place. And then the second thing, the one Joel will comment on, if he stays healthy, because he's young, could Victor Wembanyama be the greatest center ever? I'm thinking if he keeps doing what he's doing with the talent that he has, that's a possibility. So, I want your opinions on that. And in line with that, too, last thing real quick is I found some old NBA cards in one of my drawers, and I found who I thought was the greatest NBA center of all time, a rookie card of Lou Alcindor, and I'm wondering how much money I could get for that.
Oh.
So, okay, I'm done, guys. Yeah, really. I found that, and I found the whole starting lineup of the 71-72 New York Knicks.
Wow.
I went, somebody, if I need a little extra in retirement, I'm putting these out on eBay or somewhere. What do you think?
Yeah, head to our friends over at Graybos. They'll get you right. They'll tell you how much those will be worth. Our friends over at Graybos will love to see a rookie Lou Alcindor. That is a crazy card, but appreciate you calling in, Midlow Dan. Have a great rest of your day. To answer those questions, I think Joe Mazzulla, the Celtics head coach right now, I think is by far the favorite to win Coach of the Year. What he's been able to do with Boston has been exceptional, and now there is a very good shot that they are going to be the 1 seed in the Eastern Conference. They're just 2.5 games back of Detroit with a good part of the season left to play. And for Wemby, I think I'll even take it a step further. If he stays healthy, which is a big if, not only the best center to ever play, I think there is a good shot that we will look back and say Wemby is the best player ever in the history of the NBA. He can usher in this new style of play. Like the world is his oyster. There is no limit to what Wemby can be. Maybe I'm being hyperbolic, but I really don't think so. I would not even stop at saying he would be the best center in NBA history. If Wemby stays healthy, he will go down as the greatest NBA player ever.
You know, it stinks for Wemby though. The one thing that we haven't accounted for is that he's in a franchise in a franchise that has historically in the new era of basketball been consistent championship winners.
Yeah, so it's not like he's elevating the franchise.
And they've also had at his respective position legitimate one of the all-time greats in Tim Duncan. So he'll have to chase the ghost of Tim Duncan first. And when he clears that hurdle, then there'll probably be conversations about him being the greatest of all time or things like that. But I think it's hard for a player in a historical franchise to get GOAT talk if they don't surpass the best player of that franchise.
And I think that will actually help him in a weird way, because I think once he does surpass Tim Duncan, we all will be in agreement that he's better than Tim Duncan, who's one of the GOATs. So therefore he is then in the GOAT conversation automatically.
And I can get that conversation started by saying that Wemby's not a center.
What is he? What do you call him?
He's a forward center, but I think he's really a 4.
You think he plays more of a 4?
That cosplays as a center because
they 7'5".
Yeah, because he's so tall, they don't know what else to classify him. But his skill set does not say center at all.
His skill set does not say any position on the court. His skill set says Wemby.
But that's one of my all-time favorite arguments with my friends is like when they start talking Tim Duncan and people will call him a power forward. And I always have one friend that's like, he's a center. And I'm like, oh God, here we go. That's going to be 2
hours.
Have
this whole conversation. Let's hash it out. Also, that doesn't work in his favor is Wemby is going up against a lot of great players, like in ways that LeBron, I love LeBron, but let's face it, he beat up on the Eastern Conference for half of his career. Like he benefited from that. He made 8 straight finals because he was in the Eastern Conference. Like he didn't have a ton of great teams he had to go up against. Wemby has to go up against OKC, Detroit, Boston, the Knicks, the Timberwolves, the Rockets, the Lakers, whenever they figure there are so many great teams in the NBA that Wemby has to go through, which if he wins multiple championships in quick succession, that will make it that much more enticing to call him the greatest player of all time, but he's got to do that. And that's a tall task.
Also, real quick, can we do like a, you know how on PTI, they do like the fact check thing at the end? You said, I think you were talking about the Celtics being the best team or maybe being the best team. I don't know if you saw that 3-quarter alley-oop from my guy, James Harden. Yeah. I think Cleveland would like to have a word about that.
Was that in a win or a loss? Oh, a loss? That's right.
You know, you can't win them all.
Totally.
You can't win them all, but I'm just saying.
Good job, Cleveland.
They're also playing short-handed a little bit.
Okay, sure. Good job. You had a highlight and a loss. Cool.
I pray for that matchup, though, because I know we'll have a good back and forth there.
I do love Cleveland. I think they're great, but cool. Awesome. Yeah, highlight 3-quarter court lob dunk.
It's Cleveland, man. It's one of those inevitable losses because you play in Cleveland.
Yeah. And James Harden's going to try and change that. All right, let's get a break in. We'll step aside. News or snooze coming up on Fitz the Bill.
It's been a long, frosty winter, but soccer season is finally back in the RVA. The 2026 Richmond Kickers season kicks off with 2 great matches. First up is the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup Round 1 versus Nova FC Tuesday, March 17th at 6:30. And then it's the season opening game Saturday, March 21st as the Kickers take on FC Naples at 6 p.m. Grab the kids, bring the dogs, and meet your friends for the pregame food trucks and happy hour beverage specials at City Stadium. Reserve your tickets today at richmondkickers.com.
Stop by Parlay Bar and Lounge, the preeminent sports bar in the Mid-Atlantic, next door to Grabo Sports Cards and Scott's Edition. For lunch, happy hour, dinner, or for the electric experience of watching your favorite team play. We run trivia on Wednesday nights, live music every Friday, and we have unique, interesting programming such as live wrestling, pro boxing, or one of our legendary parking lot parties. Learn more about our lunch club and our daily food specials at parlayrva.com.
106.1 ESPN on-air interviews presented by the Herman Allen Plumbing Heating and Cooling Hotline with Lennox products that make the air in your home absolutely perfect.
Pump up the volume.
Business moves fast. Orders roll in, deadlines close in. When you ship with USPS Ground Advantage, you can keep up with confidence. Every package stays in our secure network from dock to door. And with nationwide reach, dependable tracking, and upfront affordable pricing, you get built-in peace of mind. You run the business. We run the routes. Visit USPS.com/groundadvantage to learn more.
Ready to free your team from time-consuming office tasks? Amazon Business empowers leaders with smart business buying tools, leaving time to focus on strategy and growth. Free up your teams and focus on your future at AmazonBusiness.com.
Even if you've given up on your New Year's resolutions, one health habit that's easy to keep is Active Liver from New Nordic. Active Liver protects your liver so you can enjoy life to the fullest. Online at Amazon, in stores at CVS, Walgreens, and now GNC.
Hey, did you miss Clinton and Friends?
Walrus and Encino, what's up, dude?
Time has come for track 2 in my Bubba album that I'm starting to create, and this is the second track on the album. What a curmudgeon, Bubba Grump, you really are so rude. How does Devin deal with your stinky attitude, Bubba Grump?
Clinton and Friends, weekdays from 10 to noon Eastern on ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app.
Hi, Leif Erickson for SnowCountry.com, sponsored by Cricket. Prioritize your self-care and switch to Cricket for unlimited plans starting at $35 a month. Smile, you're on Cricket. We're keeping that full-blown spring skiing vibe going into this week with clear blue skies, warm temperatures, and soft snow on all the trails. It's going to stay warm, too, so it's time to get those runs in as we're down to those last couple of weeks of the season, with some mountains even cutting back operation to weekends only at this point. Massanutten, for instance, will return on Friday. Same for Wisp and Blue Knot. We're entering the final week of the season at Wintergreen, but still with a good selection of over 20 soft spring runs. In West Virginia, Snowshoe entering the final 2 weeks of their season. They'll wrap things up on Sunday, March 22nd with 54 runs, still going strong. Timberline, West Virginia with over 20 trails, and Bear Creek, Pennsylvania, 22 runs. Just about everything open. More ski conditions at snowcountry.com. I'm Leif Erickson for 106.1 ESPN Richmond.
106.1 ESPN weather.
We are in the midst of a dense fog advisory this morning, which will soon lift into mostly sunny skies, a high reaching 78 degrees later this afternoon, and clear skies tonight with lows dropping down to 49.
Coming up on the Monday edition of the Sports Huddle, we'll recap a wild weekend of college basketball and get you set for conference tournament action all week long. 4 until 6 here on 106.1 ESPN.
News.
Extra, read all about it.
Or snooze.
News or snooze going far-reaching today. Queen's University earns NCAA 20 berth in first year eligible.
Newsworthy.
Good
indeed. For Queens.
Extra, read all about it.
Good for the Queen's University of Charlotte. Good for them. This is their first year that they have been eligible. They made the transition up from Division II to Division I 4 years ago now, and they've been competitive in the ASUN really every year since they made that jump from D2 to D1. It was kind of a matter of time that they would win the ASUN once they become eligible, and they did, and they've got a dog, Chris Ashby, buried 10 threes in the ASUN championship game. They're probably going to be a 16 seed. They're not going to be a high seed. They're not really an upset alert type of team, but they'll be a fun 16 seed to watch. You know, they'll be fun because they'll hit a couple of threes, maybe make things interesting for the first half, and then Duke will pull away.
They got a lot of seniority and experience on their team.
Yeah.
Okay. And they can hit threes. Absolutely sounds like a Cinderella.
And their coach, Grant Leonard, he is a good coach.
I mean, it sounds like the teams they're trying to keep out.
Yeah, but they're going to be a 16. They're probably going to get Duke because the ASUN, the Atlantic Sun, is not a good conference. Yeah. So they're going to get disrespected and probably be one of they'll, if not the worst 16 seed, they'll be the second worst 16 seed. So good luck.
No slight,
but they're fun.
No slight at UVA. Anything's possible.
Just as long as UVA does not. Here, I got this. UVA, if you're listening, don't win the ACC. Then don't become a 1 seed, because if you're a 1 seed, they'll match you up with Queens, and that spells an upset.
That'd be crazy. Sources: Trent McDuffie, Rams reach 4-year, $124 million extension.
You can't keep getting away with this, man. The NFL should force the Rams to draft in the first round. It's not fair that they keep getting to trade away their first round draft picks, get these all-star players, and then sign them to massive deals. It's newsworthy.
I disagree. I think the Rams should keep wheeling and dealing and showing people how you're supposed to maneuver in the draft, because if somebody's stupid enough to trade from the second round back into the first, like they're going to be a good team, and then they give you a top 15 pick.
That is true. They still have they have the Falcons first round draft picks. That is right. They traded the worst of their 2 first round draft picks. So yeah, cool. Trent McDuffie just gets to go to the Los Angeles Rams, and they get to draft a starter.
Raiders, take note. Don't do it this year, but just know next year you will have an additional first round pick. Take note.
Take note. But this is an interesting MO from the Chiefs, because now we've got, what do they say? 1 time's a coincidence, second time whatever, third time's whatever. First time they traded Marcus Peters to the Rams, actually. Then when L'Jarius Sneed was due for a big extension, they elected to just trade him to the Tennessee Titans. Now McDuffie, who was entering the final year of his rookie deal, they decided just to trade him away rather than give him a 4-year, $124 million extension. Interesting move from the Chiefs, who are going to be already probably without Leo Chenal, who's going to leave in free agency. Travis Kelce may leave. Like, a lot of that core that got them to 3 straight Super Bowls now no longer will be there. Interesting move from Kansas City. I don't agree with it.
Spags can handle it. I don't agree with it either, but I think Spags, having the experience that he has as a coach and a schemer, they can find a player to fit the profile of what they need on defense. I think that's what they go for, profile fits rather than anything else.
And it's worked out for him, but still, it just feels bleh.
As long as they keep Chris Jones, they'll be all right.
Yeah, until he retires in 2 years. Good luck.
Oh man, everybody's gonna leave there. Yeah, you're right. They gotta replenish. Travis Kelce expected to play in 2026.
Newsworthy. I think the worthiest of this is that he's not expected 100% to re-sign with Kansas City. He may leave Kansas City, and or Kansas City may elect not to bring him back. That's the most newsworthy part of all of this. If I was Travis Kelce, I don't see why you don't retire and just go live life gallivanting the world with Taylor Swift. That's me. That's what I would do. I'm also not a professional athlete. I think it's really interesting that he's not assured that the Chiefs will bring him back, and he's still willing to play next season for a new team potentially. And you know the Commanders, they love their veterans. Maybe they go and get Travis Kelce.
Based on the tweet from Patrick Mahomes when Trent McDuffie got traded, I would imagine not re-signing Travis Kelce would get more explicit than what Trent McDuffie's trade got. And I don't think they want to upset Patrick Mahomes.
Don't want to rock the boat.
They'll get it figured out. Plus, Kelce, man, like him in any other jersey would be weird.
That's what I'm saying.
Gronk going to the Bucs wasn't that weird because it was still Tom Brady. If it was Gronk going to the Bucs with Baker Mayfield, would have been weird.
That would have been really weird. Yeah, having someone throw him the football not named Patrick Mahomes would be very weird.
It's going to mess up the commercials, too.
Yeah, I mean, those are great commercials. We can't mess those up. We got a bonus one, too. You ready? I'll throw this one at you. You ready for this? Tua Tagovailoa expected to be released in the coming days. He's going to be a post-June 1 cut, so he doesn't get the whole $99 million dead cap hit this season, Allen, but he's still a massive cap hit. That essentially will just be spread out over this year and next.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't help spreading it out. It's still a crazy amount of money. So the spread out would be, like 55, 60 this time, and then 30, 39 next?
It'll be roughly 50 million-ish this year, and then the rest next year. Yeah.
No, that makes it so much better, right?
John Eric Sullivan, congratulations. You're the new general manager of the Miami Dolphins. Here's what you get. $320 million, whatever it is, in salary cap. Oh, by the way, you don't get to use $50 million of it this year or next.
I'm going to root for him because it's got to be the worst situation you've ever walked into as a general manager.
Yes, without a doubt. It's so bad.
That cap straps you so bad. And then, so in his case, he's got to make sure his draft hits really hit.
He needs his draft picks to hit this year and next year.
Yeah, because he can't sign anybody of note, honestly.
No, he can sign me and you and then draft class.
I'm shocked that they would eat $99 million, man. And the crazy part, if you look at his contract, I want to say that drops so much.
Drops to $31.8 million next year.
So all they had to do was hold on to him for a season. It saves you like $60 million.
Yes.
And you can hold on to him. He can be disgruntled, but no, somebody's going to take a chance on a trade probably around like week 4 or 5 when somebody gets hurt.
It's really interesting that both the Cardinals and the Dolphins had these huge cap hits with Kyler and Tua, and both, instead of just kind of taking their, I guess in a way they are taking their medicine by releasing him this year. But like, it is just fascinating not to just keep him on the roster. Like Kyler's going to be a $54.7 million cap hit, which is a whole lot of money, but it doesn't look like that much now that Tua's being cut. But for both of those teams, you could have just rostered him, used that spot, because next year in the case of Kyler, his cap hit, his dead cap hit falls to $7.2 million, which is a huge, nearly a $50 million drop from what it is this year. Instead, they're cutting him this year. $54.7 million will be on their books for a player that won't be playing for them. For the Dolphins, they've got $99 million that they've got to split over 2 years now for a guy that won't be on the roster, not paying for them. That's what I don't understand. You could have kept him on the roster for another year, maybe tried to find a trade partner throughout the year, but essentially you could have told them, you guys don't have to show up to work. Yeah. And it'll be cheaper than us cutting you.
Like, this is historically stupid. If we could put it in context. No, but Russell Wilson's contract, eating that was crazy. And this is higher than that.
$99.2 million cap hit that the Dolphins are splitting over this year and next, just to have him not on their roster. How toxic do you have to be? I strive to become so toxic in my life that someone will pay me $100 million to not be near them.
It's a coach buyout, a college coach buyout.
It's insane. It is insane in a sport that doesn't do, like, that's so much money.
Yeah, that's a substantial amount. And then the crazy part is, if you just let him sit on the roster, you would pay him essentially $60 million because it's going to be $30 million of dead cap next year. But you're paying $50 anyway by cutting him early in this first season. I don't know who did the books for them and how they made financial sense.
My head is spinning. They must have just really hated Tua. Like, they must have had a conversation with him like, I'm done. I don't want you anywhere near my team.
He does come off as a guy that's hard to communicate with.
And the other part of this, there's so many layers. You could have just held on to him and tried to find a trade partner and just been really adamant that you weren't going to cut him, even if you planned to. But it's been one of the worst kept secrets in the NFL that they were going to cut Tua. And for Kyler too, for both of these quarterbacks, worst kept secrets in the NFL that they were going to cut each player. Like, that's the other part of it I don't understand. Why were you leaking it to the press? Why was this coming out that you were even thinking about cutting him? Because that immediately takes away all of your leverage. You could have traded Tua or Kyler, and you could have eaten a good portion of their cap hit for this year, but gotten them away to another team. Another team could have absorbed that terrible contract, and then all of a sudden you don't have to worry about that massive dead cap hit. Instead, they were leaking it like the entire time that they were going to cut these guys. And so no team was willing to dance with them because they knew if they just waited it out, they would get them for free. Well, I do not get it.
I think sometimes people leak that stuff to see who's desperate enough to try to get. Yeah, because sometimes people don't want to allow a person to hit the market because then they'll have to negotiate at a higher price depending on who the player is.
Yeah.
So if the trade value is a couple of late round picks or something like that, it's better than having him go free agent market and you have to be like, all right, we'll give you X amount of money.
You can kind of cut the line with it all. Vikings, call up Kyler right now and get him on your team. Kyler Murray will lead the Minnesota Vikings to the playoffs and a really good record, 12 or more wins if Minnesota is able to land him. I think Kyler, there is not going to be another Darnold for quite some time, but Kyler is going to be the closest thing to Sam Darnold we'll have. And I think Minnesota needs to get in the front of that line and make sure he comes to Minnesota. That is the only way Minnesota can capitalize on the Super Bowl roster they have put together. Forget about J.J. McCarthy. Go all in on Kyler Murray. He has that type of talent if you can keep him healthy. All right, hour number 2 coming up. We keep things rolling here on Fitz the Bill, 106.1 ESPN Richmond.
Sometimes your child might see something that just doesn't feel right. Changes in a classmate's behavior, withdrawing from friends, disturbing art, a hit list, self-harm. Talk to your child, because one concerning behavior may not seem like a big deal, but it could be a warning sign. Tell them, if something seems off, don't dismiss it. Talk to an adult. Ask for help. They just might save a life. To learn more, visit oktospeakout.com.
This is advertising material.
A drunk driver changed your life in an instant. Now what? The pain,
the bills, the recovery that never feels fast enough. You didn't ask for this, but you don't have to face it alone. Alexander Shannara trial attorneys fight for drunk driving victims and get results. Call now, 877-222-6666, or visit alexwins.law. Don't wait, alexwins.law.
This is advertising material. Past results do not guarantee future outcomes. Every case is different. Philip George is licensed attorney in Virginia, is responsible for legal work. Office is located in Norfolk.
At Fisher Investments, we may seem like other money managers, but we're different.
Are you really that different than the rest of us?
We are. As a fiduciary, we always focus on what's best for our clients.
What services do you offer besides investing?
We have a team of specialists in financial planning, estate planning, and more.
Your clients rely on you for all that?
Yes, we ensure clients receive unparalleled service at every step of the relationship.
Okay, but you still sell commission-based products, right?
No, because we believe that's a conflict of interest. We prioritize service over sales goals.
So then how do your fees work?
We have a simple and transparent fee that's a percentage of our clients' portfolios. So we do better when our clients do better.
Wow, we're more different than I thought.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at fisherinvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
Your home for Richmond Spiders athletics all year round. W291CL Lakeside Richmond. WURV HD2 Richmond. We are 1061 ESPN.
The second hour of Fitz the Bill is brought to you by Birdie Golf. Tired of paying premium prices for big-name golf balls that overpromise and underdeliver? Step up your game with Birdie Golf. Learn more about a local company at birdiegolf.com. Change out the I's for ones, and you're there. That's B1RD1E golf.com. Birdie Golf.
You're listening to the second hour of Fitz the Bill on 1061 ESPN.
Welcome in hour number 2 of Fitz the Bill, right here on 1061 ESPN Richmond, the ESPN Richmond app, and ESPNRichmond.com. Also streaming live on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. If you want to watch the stream, just type in ESPN Richmond. We'll pop right on up, and you can watch the stream live. And you can call or text into the Radkey Insurance phone line, 804-327-0888. Head on over to radkeyinsurance.com to get started on your free quote today. We're going to keep things rolling in the NFL for just a little bit. We'll then go to college basketball and beyond as we roll along in hour number 2. It's also Overreaction Monday, so we want to hear your overreactions. Just text them in, 804-327-0888 from the weekend that was. But talking about Tua getting cut, and the Dolphins are going to have to eat $99 million, nearly $100 million in dead cap. They're going to have a post-June 1 designation, meaning that Tua's dead cap hit will get spread over the next 2 seasons. So thankfully, they won't have 33% of their salary cap kind of shored up with one guy. They're going to spread it out over 2. But there's been a lot of NFL news over the last, 4 or 5 days here, between Trent McDuffie getting traded to the Rams, Max Crosby being traded to the Ravens, DJ Moore headed to the Bills, and, oh, by the way, Alan, legal tampering period begins right now. 9 a.m. that thing started. So my favorite time of the year, legal tampering. Should just call it. You can talk to your. I have so many thoughts on it, and I could go on a whole deep end of why I think it's so stupid. But hey, they can tamper legally.
Yeah, they really should just change the terminology.
They should just say it's the start of free agency.
Yeah.
Why can I talk with him, agree to the terms, and then not sign it until March 11th?
And he can't visit and all those things, right? It's like
Well,
it's really just
they now can.
Oh, they can.
They've
now?
changed the rules
Well,
where you're allowed.
Google needs to update their.
You're allowed up
summer.
to 5 1-hour meetings with players now before
Can they come
sign.
to the facilities?
No.
All right, then it didn't change. All right, that makes sense.
They can only do phone calls or video calls, I believe, is the change.
Okay.
But
The Dolphins gave Tua a tribute video.
Really? For what? No
I have no
wins,
idea.
right?
No.
Dolphin
anything.
Dave's probably going through it.
Yeah.
Oh.
He's on the phone.
Oh, really? Look at that. Who would have thought? Dolphin Dave on line 1. Good morning, Dolphin Dave. How are we feeling about this Tua news?
Let me tell you a couple real quick things. And I've got there are actually 2 Dolphins people that root for the Dolphins at where I work, which is probably 25% of the population of the Dolphin population in the city of Richmond. I don't understand why they don't keep him. You got to pay him. All right. So why don't you keep him in? Let him go ahead. I don't think Quentin Ewers is the future, and I don't think they think Quentin Ewers is the future. I could be wrong, but we got to give Quentin Ewers a year. No, you don't have to give Quentin Ewers a year. You bring in Tua. You let him and Quentin Ewers fight over the position. You don't have a good draft class for quarterbacks this year anyway. You're not going to go to the playoffs. Why not? If you're going to eat the money, why not keep him on the team, eat the money, and do something with him? And lo and behold, surprisingly enough, by some miracle, he's able to lead us to, not the promised land, or maybe lead us to a playoff or whatever. But I just don't understand. $99 million in cap money. We're just here. Go ahead, keep your money. You can leave, and we're not going to use you. So that's the first thing I want to tell you. And the second thing is, if Kyler Murray is coming to my team, all right, I'm throwing him a playbook and looking at him and saying, buddy, you got to know that playbook. I know he's getting a bad rap about the whole video game and stuff like that. Well, prove that you've matured over that bad rap. And I've told you guys this 100 times. It's 25% physical. It's 75% mental. If you are going to go to the Super Bowl with a quarterback, Patrick Mahomes gets better every year. Other people have not, and especially these people with big contracts. So you know what? I honestly, I don't think Kyler Murray is a good fit for anybody until he can prove that he can go ahead and learn a complicated playbook and go through 4 progressions before he runs the ball. But that's just my 2 cents.
With Tua and everything happening with Miami, I think Miami just wanted him off the roster. There's language in his contract that if he got hurt this year and he was sat for the rest of the year, then the next year would then automatically fully guarantee, which would have made his dead cap hit potentially even bigger than what it was. So they weren't going to play him regardless this year. This was going to be a figure it out year with Quinn Ewers behind him or whatever other free agent they might bring in or whatever other quarterback they may draft. So they were never going to play Tua because if he got hurt, that cost just would not have outweighed the benefit of that. But I agree. Like, it's cheaper to just have him on your roster regardless. I would have told Tua, don't show up to work for the next year. Go work out on your own, and then we'll figure out what to do next year. Or even wait until the middle of the season when there's a QB needy team because, they're in the playoff push. Their guy just got hurt. Like, I don't know, the Chiefs a year ago, and then maybe you cash in there. But I think eventually they just said, you know what, Tua, he's a little temperamental. He's not great in the locker room. We're just going to move off of him.
You know what? I didn't know about the second part, so I appreciate that. Thank you.
Of course, Dolphin Dave. Have a great rest of your Monday. Hopefully you and all your Dolphin fans in the office have a good day with Tua no longer on the roster. I have a feeling Dolphin Dave had something to do with them becoming Dolphin fans.
I'm pretty sure Dolphin Dave is a better capologist than whoever they got.
I think we all are better capologists than what they've got over in Miami. I will say, I'm going to push back a little bit on the Kyler Murray kind of hate with it as well. Kyler Murray played really well down the stretch last year, but no one watched because it was the Arizona Cardinals, right? You look at some of his nerd numbers, EPA per dropback, EPA per play, just in general. He was moving the ball as efficiently as guess who? Jalen Hurts. And we're all talking about Jalen Hurts, and I get arguments every single day about if he's a top 10 quarterback or not. Everyone's saying Kyler Murray isn't worth a roster spot at this point. They don't want him on their team. Look, if Seattle didn't have Sam Darnold and Seattle didn't just win a dang Super Bowl, down in my chest about that one. Kyler is a good quarterback. Kyler is a quarterback that you can win with. The biggest asterisk with Kyler Murray isn't his on the field play. It's his availability. He's been hurt a lot in his career. And that's a huge asterisk, because what's your best ability? Availability. I get all of that. But like, Kyler's a darn good quarterback.
Yeah, well, I think the issue with Kyler is similar to a lot of these younger generation guys. We have a lot of quarterbacks that are not really leaders, and it's kind of a weird concept to have your quarterback not be the leader. Like, we expect that in football. We expect them to be the rah-rah guy, to get everybody in line, to be the accountability person and stuff like that. You're not going to get that with Kyler. You're not going to get that with Tua. And I think that makes it it makes it hard to evaluate them, because we blend that attribute with playing ability. So people will be quick to say Kyler's not worth it because the mentality, right? Like, I think from the ability standpoint, he's absolutely worth it. And I'm not saying it like, oh, he'll change your franchise and make you a Super Bowl contender, but he's definitely better than a lot of these quarterbacks and a lot of the quarterback options in free agency. But it's one of those things where if you pick him up, you got to have another voice. You got to have another guy to be the leader in the locker room and in the huddle, apparently, because it just doesn't seem like he's that guy.
That's fair. He does need to work on the leadership portion of it all, but like, he's got the raw talent. He's got the potential. And there's a team out there, the Minnesota Vikings, that should pick up the phone and make sure that he is their QB1 at the start of the season.
He's so much better than JJ McCarthy.
Tua is better than JJ McCarthy.
Yeah, which is crazy.
If you strike out on Kyler, go after Tua.
Not for that price, though.
Keep him healthy.
Maybe he'll play for free since he's getting paid.
I was going to say, here's the other kicker to the Kyler Murray Tua Tagovailoa situation now, right? They both are getting paid regardless. So kind of like Russell Wilson, when Russell got cut from the Denver Broncos, he then signed with, the Pittsburgh Steelers for league minimum, because he was still getting the money being paid to him from the Denver Broncos. Kyler and Tua don't have to go out there and get $20 million a year. They'll take the league minimum, the veterans minimum, whatever that number is, and they'll play maybe a prove-it deal next year, because they are getting paid for this next year, regardless of what they do on the field. So that's a fun little portion of it as well.
Yeah. And this conversation is also why I hate quarterbacks, because we spend so much time talking about them and giving them all this clout. And my man Max Crosby got traded, right? And it's not just us. I mean, even on Get Up and the other big network shows, like, they've talked about everything but the trade of arguably one of the best players at his respective position.
You brought it up, and that's where I was going to go with it next too, because I want to talk about this Max Crosby trade going to the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens send over their 14th overall pick in this year's draft and next year's first rounder, but that's it. That feels like a steal to get Max Crosby.
It is a steal, because you're going to get results right now. But also, if you're the Raiders, like, you can't pass up 2 first rounds when you're trying to rebuild the team. And it seemed like Max was disgruntled.
Yeah, Max, did you hear the stuff that came out about him and the Tom Brady trainer?
I heard wind of it. I think I mentioned it last week, just in passing. Like, I didn't dive into it, so I didn't click on the little post to see what it was about. I'm still upset that Max Crosby's mad that they decided to sit him for 2 games and try to go for the number 1 pick, when, like, it's obvious, man. You don't have talent. You're not in an organization that's trying to compete per se, especially that far into the season.
Yeah.
Like, why would you be mad about that? Of course they want to get the best
Max
option.
Crosby is a crazy human being. That's why he was mad about it.
I appreciate the competitive nature, but man, you can't hold that against them.
It is a very interesting situation that happened in Las Vegas, because it seemed like he was a Raider through and through. He made it known that he wanted to end his career in Las Vegas. He was one of the big reasons why they even hired Antonio Pierce. It was to keep Max Crosby happy.
Should have cut him for that.
Yeah, but you know what happens when great players become GMs. Just look at what LeBron's been doing the last couple of years with LA. But like, yeah, the Raiders needed to get something for him. And for the Ravens, like, this was the right move. That is a fantastic trade, because you're not getting a Max Crosby quality. Say that 10 times fast. A Max Crosby quality player with the 14th overall pick. You're probably not getting a Max Crosby quality player at the tail end of the first round next year because, let's be honest, the Ravens, they want to be a playoff team. They want to be a team in the Super Bowl. And if you have those types of aspirations, you likely are picking 25 or later, and you're not getting a Max Crosby then either. You go out, you get a defense-altering player for what, to me, feels like a fairly low price tag, and you capitalize on a Raiders team that needed to move off of Crosby, and they needed draft picks. You're able to take advantage of that scenario, and you get a lot better while the Raiders are still in this pot of turmoil.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is the unknown with the Ravens. So you get the 14th pick this year, which is solid. And then who knows what next year's pick will be, right? If Lamar comes in hurt a little bit, they lost their center. We don't know how that's going to affect their offense. And I know some people might think that's not a big deal. A center is very, very, very important, especially for communication purposes. And then they got a new head coach. So there's a lot of unknowns. So I don't mind the gamble. Like I said, I don't think anybody else was going to give you 2 firsts. They said that the next best offer was the Cowboys a first in the second round.
Yeah.
And to that, I say the Cowboys are the goofiest organization. We know this. Like, if they're switching to a 3-4, where was Max going to play in a 3-4?
Well, if only we had a 10 out of 10 edge rusher that was younger than Max Crosby a year ago.
Yeah, and actually would probably play the position that you're looking for in a 3. Max isn't that he's not a TJ Watt.
It's so idiotic. I
didn't understand that.
Trey Hendrickson now is probably the best available edge rusher. He's going to be a free agent on Wednesday. We'll likely hear where he lands today as legal tampering period has opened. But Trey Hendrickson's availability also drove down the cost for Max Crosby because you didn't have to go out and trade for Trey Hendrickson. You could just sign him to a deal. So that just inherently brought down the Max Crosby value as well. So the Raiders had to strike with what they could get. 2 firsts. I say that's a win for them. And I think it's a win-win for both sides. I think the Ravens made out like bandits with this one. They get a huge defensive game changer, and they'll likely be right back in the thick of the AFC next year. Well, assuming Lamar doesn't suffer some.
What's crazy is, again, it's all the moves that have been happening.
Yeah.
I think it's been under the radar. But the Texans gave Hunter a 1-year deal, and it was like around $40 million.
Yeah.
And he's an edge rusher. And I think the idea of having to negotiate with the Hendrickson, who has a little bit more service and clout at the position, and the asking starting price is probably going to be around that $40 million mark because Hunter just said it, is what made the Ravens go, you know what, 2 firsts don't sound like a bad idea.
That too. Like, oh, okay, we can get his contract. We got him for a little bit. Yeah, here you go. Here's 2 first rounders. Yeah. Couple of other trades. Buffalo is sending a 2026 second round draft pick to Chicago in exchange for DJ Moore and a 5th rounder. So Buffalo gets a nut. They needed a wide receiver. All of that talk from Joe Brady at the NFL Combine talking about, I believe in Keon Coleman. I stood on the table. I banged my chest for Keon Coleman. I want to see him succeed. Well, that may have just been hot air because then they go out and they get DJ Moore.
They still needed more than Coleman.
Yeah, I know, but
pun, more than Coleman.
They needed more than Coleman. That is exactly right. And for DJ Moore, maybe he'll find a career resurgence in Buffalo like Stephon Diggs did. So Buffalo gets a bona fide wide receiver one. That should help Josh Allen next season. And then, of course, the Trent McDuffie trade as well. Legal tampering period. It is here. It is wonderful, a.k.a. just the start of free agency. Even the players can't sign until Wednesday. Where do the Commanders go from here? Are they all in on Linderbaum?
They better be.
We'll see. We'll talk about that coming up next on Fitz the Bill.
Hey, golfers, spring is just around the corner, and that means it's time to head over to Queenfield Golf Club. Queenfield is a beautifully secluded 18-hole course just a few minutes east of Mechanicsville that offers a spacious driving range, practice greens and bunkers, and professionally maintained golf course. Take the afternoon off or schedule your tee time today by calling 804-769-8838 or reserve your spot online at queenfieldgolf.com and make Queenfield Golf Club your new favorite golf course.
Texting enrolls you into recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, it's me, your manhood. Remember when we used to crush workouts and still have energy left over? Ever since we turned 40, I've been feeling neglected. Testosterone levels just aren't what they used to be. What do you say you give me a boost with new Gen X Total T2?
America's most trusted testosterone-boosting brand is back with even more man-boosting power. Nugenix Total T2, crafted with a unique new formula that combines the ultimate free and total testosterone booster with a powerful nitric oxide booster that starts working in just 3 hours with continued benefits over time. Feel like a new man, leaner, stronger, with more energy and drive.
Oh, yeah, we are so back.
Text MAIN to 215-215 for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T2. We'll even throw in a bottle of Nugenix Thermo X, our most powerful fat incinerator ever. That's MAIN to 215-215. MAIN to 215-215.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. Product not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
WorkZone is the one-stop shop for the hardworking man and woman. When it comes to the biggest selection, WorkZone has it. Over 15 brands of boots and all toe types, even boots for the ladies. WorkZone has jackets in stock for all seasons, from cold weather to lightweight. See why WorkZone will be your first and only stop for the best brands and comfort and workwear. And a gift card from WorkZone is always the perfect gift. Visit WorkZone on Temple Avenue next to the Ford dealership, WorkZoneVA.com, and check them out on Instagram and Facebook. Weather reports on 106.1 ESPN Richmond, brought to you by Herman Allen Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, a premier Lennox dealer. Online at HermanAllenPlumbing.com.
Looking for the perfect golf course? Check out RVA's best kept secret, Queenfield Golf Club, just a few minutes past Mechanicsville. Reserve your tee time today at queenfieldgolf.com.
This is Brennan Wells, the owner of Pro Weld Fabricators. We are a Richmond-based company. We are here for all of your welding projects.
Bradley Hicks here with Pro Weld Fabricators. We bring all the right tools to your doorstep. Emergency repair? No problem. We're available 24/7 for all commercial and residential needs. You need Pro Weld Fabricators. Learn more about Pro Weld Fabricators and check out some of our awesome projects at pro-weldfabricators.com.
Pro Weld Fabricators is your number one source for any of your commercial welding needs.
Coming up on the Monday edition of the Sports Huddle, we'll recap a wild weekend of college basketball and get you set for conference tournament action all week long. 4 until 6 here on 106.1 ESPN.
Score big with the 106.1 ESPN app. Listen live anywhere. Crystal clear coverage, breaking news, and Richmond's rowdiest sports debates. Tap in and turn it up.
Good bumper. Will Tyler Linderbaum be there for the Washington Commanders? We'll see. Tyler Biadasz. I think Tyler Linderbaum is going to be the guy that Washington goes after really hard after letting Tyler Biadasz go. And then he immediately signed a 3-year, $30 million deal with the Chargers. And it's like, all right, well, where do the Commanders go from here with that? The only reasonable option is arguably the best free agent on the market at the center position, who's going to be the most desired free agent out there. Because if you look around the NFL, almost every single team needs a center. And so it's going to drive the price up a whole lot on Tyler Linderbaum. And the Commanders said, this is a quote from Dan Quinn, there's going to be difference makers that will be part of this class. One team source said to John Keim that while the Commanders won't spend recklessly, if there's a player that they want who commands top of the market money and is a good fit, they'll happily spend. I think that screams to me Tyler Linderbaum's coming to Washington.
Behind every great offensive line is the center.
Yes.
It has to be.
Yes.
Has to be. And I know there have been some offensive lines that a center has anchored their growth into being great, right? Like he's the catalyst. Jeff Saturday comes to mind for most people, but there's been a lot of great centers. Biadasz was really good. I think he was unappreciated by the fan base a little. And to let him go, to me, you have to go hard after Linderbaum. I'm surprised that the Ravens
let him go.
Yeah, I'm confused. Like I thought that it was one of those situations like the Eagles where Phillips hits the market, air quotes, but they're negotiating, right? They they want him to come back. And Philly has made it apparent they want Phillips back. I haven't heard anything from Baltimore, and I'm like, you're really just going to let my guy go?
Yeah,
wow.
They didn't want to franchise tag him because if they had franchise tagged him, the franchise tag is a little weird with offensive linemen. It's the top paid players at the offensive line spot. So you would be franchise tagging a center, and he'd be being paid like a tackle. And the Ravens didn't want to do that. And so they elected to allow him to test the open waters. And all the reports are that he is likely gone from Baltimore, that they won't be able to match his offer.
Absolutely not.
And a big reason why for that is because of Lamar Jackson's salary. Lamar Jackson's contract is a huge thorn in the Ravens' side. I don't know if you remember when they fired Harbaugh, the Baltimore Ravens owner had that entire press conference, and he was like, yeah, we've got to rework Lamar's contract so that we can get more players in here. Because as it stands now, Lamar is eating up a huge part of their salary cap, and it's kind of handcuffing them in what they can do to add weapons and to add help around Lamar.
Yeah, I'll take a look real quick because I know sometimes we say that, and it's easy to blame the quarterbacks.
No, but Lamar has
he's 24% of the cap.
Yes.
So that should have been restructured a long time ago. Most people try to keep it at most around the 15%, which he was last year, or somewhere in that range. That like over 20% is too high. I think Joe Burrow one time, maybe right before he got his new deal, was like almost 22% or something crazy.
Yeah, like what you want to do is add a couple of years as an extension to it. Then you can spread out some of the money that he's due now. Then it goes to the back end of the contract, and you can be able to sign to Tyler Linderbaum. But here's the issue with that. With Lamar Jackson, who is his agent? Him and his mom.
Yeah.
And so it's really tough. And this has been said through a lot of different mediums. It's tough to negotiate with him because he is his own agent. And so sometimes he doesn't want to come to the table or whatever it might be. You don't have the same open lines of communication when a player represents themselves as you do when they have an agent. And so that's another kind of hurdle that the Ravens have to get over when it comes to Lamar. And it's going to cost them an all-world center who might just go down 95 and play with the Commanders and team up with Jaden Daniels and be the key piece to an offensive line that, let's face it, is pretty darn good, with Connerly having a year 2 jump that we all expect. Laramie Tunsil on the left side being solid. Like, this will shore up the offensive line in a good way for Washington if they're able to sign him.
Yeah, it's a crazy good anchor to have. Like, you couldn't ask for a better option when you need a center for sure. And I don't understand why it's difficult to tell Lamar, hey, look, if we can get this down like 10%, we can get you XYZ.
We can keep your center.
It's for your protection, right? We're talking the centers for your protections, for Derrick Henry's protection. And I would imagine he's got a great relationship with his center. I don't know. I just feel like the Ravens kind of dropped the ball here. The conversation to maybe get this restructured or start those talks should have probably happened pretty early. Look at who's recently Dak Prescott restructured his contract probably about a week or so ago. Cowboys do that on a regular basis.
Yeah.
The only smart thing they actually do is they restructure to create cap space. Alvin Kamara restructured, I think, to create cap space for the Saints.
And look at the Chiefs. They just restructured recently with Mahomes to free up cap space. The key to restructuring is you need to have a lot of years on your contract. Or maybe not a lot of years, but more than 2 or 3, which is what Lamar has right now. So they need to actually sign him to an extension, and then they could restructure kind of next year and the year after that. But that's the real key to a restructure. And it's why it was so important that Patrick Mahomes signed that 10-year, $500 million contract that he did in 2020, because that gave them a ton of cap flexibility. At the time, it made him the highest paid quarterback. Of course, since then, we have seen that number get absolutely just kind of lapped and lapped and lapped again. But it allowed the Chiefs a lot of flexibility, and they're going to have to use that flexibility now as they rebuild around Mahomes. And on the Ravens side of it all, they don't have that flexibility with Lamar, and they're coming into this offseason over the cap. They have the second least amount of available cap space right in front of the Bills. Those two have the least amount of cap space in the NFL. They are technically over the cap, Allen, by $12 million. So they've got to restructure some things before they can even sign their draft class.
They've got Lamar Jackson's market value is 62.6 annual salary right now. That is insane.
Good luck. And then you look at it on the flip side, a team with Jaden Daniels as their quarterback. They've got another 3 years with him under team control, and they've got $87.6 million in cap space this offseason, third most of any team in the NFL. You've got the available cap space to go out there and get Tyler Linderbaum. Go out there and do it. Like, no other team out there should beat you to Linderbaum. He should be focus 1, 2, and 3, especially if you were okay cutting and letting Tyler Biadasz walk out the door.
Yeah, they need to be hyper aggressive on Lindenbaum, and they need to also stop playing around and get Laramie Tunsil re-signed.
Extend it. Extend it. They should probably bring back Debo as well. In my humble opinion, I think Debo can help unlock a lot of things in that offense. And then I think they should focus primarily. I think of all of their picks in this year's draft, all but maybe one should be on the defensive side of the football, because your age is on the defensive side of the ball. People talk all the time about how old Washington is. That's not necessarily the case. A lot of their age, most of their age, is specifically on the defensive side of the ball. So go out, draft some guys, add alongside Sanderstill, add alongside Trey Amos, and find that youth on the defensive side, and then supplement the offense. Give Jaden Daniels some toys. Give him a good center. And then I think you are right back in the thick of the NFC conversation next year.
Yeah, I
think it's simple.
The fix for the Commanders is a lot easier than most teams who would be drafting in the top 7, because they still have a quarterback with a lot of talent to work with, and a lot of upside on the offensive line as well. But I agree, defense needs to be addressed. Same thing we said last year. They need to get more athletic. They need to get more depth, and they need to get younger, right?
Which is why you don't draft Jeremiah Love with the 7th pick.
Yeah, definitely. Don't draft him.
Yeah.
I'm team don't draft Jeremiah Love. I'm almost team, look, if we got the cap, maybe we should go get a Kenneth Walker or somebody like that. Although I heard his asking price is about $15 million, which would be a little too steep.
No, don't sign him for $15
But
million.
I'm saying if you can work out something with one of these free agent running backs, because one thing they will need is some poise and veteran leadership around Jaden Daniels.
A sneaky running back who's coming off of a career year's Kenneth Gainwell, which is a guy you don't often think about, but that could be a nice veteran guy to throw into running back room.
If they still got, I haven't checked their roster, but if they still got McNichols.
They want to re-sign J.D. McNichols.
Okay, yeah. If they still want to do business with him and Gainwell basically the same player.
Yeah, but
I would go with Gainwell.
Gainwell's a lot better than I think Jeremy McNichols was.
No, I mean, I know he's a lot better, but I'm saying as far as their style and what they bring to a team, it's going to be, you don't want both of them on the roster. One or the other.
One or the other. Yeah. All right, let's get a quick break and step aside. We'll be back, talk a little bit more college basketball on this Monday morning. You're listening to Fitz the Bill right here on 106.1 ESPN Richmond.
So my friends over at Pure Talk have been sending me customer feedback from consumeraffairs.com, where thousands of people rate and review the top wireless providers. Here, for instance, is a nice note from James in Raleigh, North Carolina, who writes, quote, "After hearing Mike Rowe's ad, we made the switch to Pure Talk, and we couldn't be happier. We went from spending $1,200 a year with T-Mobile to $420 with Pure Talk. Thanks, Mike. Switch today! ! Pure Talk is saving James $820 a year. And because he literally wrote the words "switch today" in capital letters with an exclamation point, I'm going to go ahead and dedicate this commercial to him. So folks, take it from James in Raleigh, North Carolina. Pure Talk can give you unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data for just $25 a month on the same 5G service the big guys are overcharging you for. Just dial pound 250, say Mike Rowe. You'll also save 50% off your first month. That's pound 250 to save an additional 50%. Thanks, James.
From driveways to interstates, accidents happen fast. The insurance company's response? Here's our offer. Take it or leave it. Leave it. Call Alexander Shinara Trial Attorneys. Over 250,000 clients. And no, they don't accept lowball offers. They fight, they win. Over $2 billion recovered. Call now for a free consultation. 877-222-6666 or alexwins.law. Past results do not guarantee future outcomes. Every case is different. Phil George's licensed attorney in Virginia is responsible for legal work. Office is located at 500 East Main Street, Suite 1600-113, Norfolk, Virginia 23510.
Get the latest update on Henrico County sports tournaments, happenings, and future events on ESPN Richmond's newest segment, the Henrico Huddle. Join Henrico Sports and Entertainment Authority Executive Director Dennis Bickmeyer as he joins Bob Black on the Sports Huddle. For more information on Henrico Sports and Event Center calendar, visit online at henricosea.com or tune in to the last Wednesday of each month for the Henrico Huddle on 106.1 ESPN Richmond.
Texting enrolls you in a recurring automated marketing text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
The team's looking good this season.
I think so. Man, I miss playing football. Ever since I turned 40, I just can't find that fire I used to have.
Think it could be lower testosterone?
What do you mean?
I was feeling the same way. After 40, the body has less testosterone, and men lose their edge. That's why I take Nugenix Total T2.
That's the testosterone booster, right?
Yes, but Total T2 is their brand new formula that skyrockets nitric oxide levels in as little as 3 hours. Since I started taking it, I've been lifting like when we played for Coach Carter. My energy is way up, and it even spiced up things between me and the missus.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles?
Yep, just send a text.
Text AREA to 42424 for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T2, the next generation testosterone booster. Text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo X, our newest, most powerful fat burner ever, absolutely free. Text AREA to 42424. That's AREA to 42424.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Stuck off the field? 1061 ESPN's got your back. Stream every debate, score, and highlight on the 1061 ESPN app. Download today and stay in the game.
Welcome back in. Fitz the Bill on this Monday, March 9th morning. I'm Jack Fitzpatrick. Allen alongside, as there was a ton of college basketball action from the weekend. We may see history be made tonight as Georgia Southern looks to become the first team ever, not just in the history of the Sun Belt, but ever across Division I NCAA action to win 6 games in 6 days to get an automatic bid. We saw the Rams win their regular season finale against Dayton to clinch a share of the A-10 regular season title. And we also heard that Chris Mooney is officially coming back for his 22nd season next year with the Spiders as the head man. As we head out to the phone lines, we've got Ryan calling in to talk a little Richmond basketball. Good morning, Ryan. How we doing?
Good morning, guys. Hey, thanks for talking about this earlier. You know, if John Hart wanted to alienate and anger the majority of the Richmond fan base, I don't think there was any better way to do it than by doing what he did the other night. You know, to make that statement on a Friday night that Mooney's coming back with no explanation, no acknowledgement about the last 2 disasters of seasons that we've had, no explanation about what might change, no sense of awareness at all. It just came off like a giant middle finger to this fan base. And it means to us that he's not even willing to take the time to evaluate things at the end of the season. He's already made his decision. You know, he's decided this is good enough. We're just going to keep on doing the same old thing. And the reality is that I think everyone can see the program is fundamentally broken. It's got a coach who has proven he does not know how to fix it. And then, you know, to demonstrate like the absurdity of this all, that they go out and blow a 40-10 lead the next day and lose. I think it was like the 4th largest blown lead in the history of NCAA basketball. And that game, to me, perfectly demonstrates what Richmond basketball is now. It's soft, it's tentative, it's lackadaisical, it's playing not to lose instead of to win. And the team reflects the attitude of the coach, because that's the same kind of attitude he displays publicly. I don't know what he's like in private, but I know publicly it seems like he just doesn't care. They win, it's okay. They lose, it's okay. You know, and at some point, there has to be accountability to the program. And I don't know if John Hart doesn't care either. People are asleep at the wheel. But the University of Richmond basketball has become like a fiefdom, like a dictatorship controlled by the same person forever. And I don't know what Chris Mooney could do ever to get fired. I just don't understand how we are here. You read the stats earlier, Fitz. They're atrocious. 10-27 in the Atlantic 10 in 2 years. 1 combined Q1 and 2 win in the last 2 years. 22 combined Q3 and 4 losses in the last 2 years. Like, what is that? It's worse than every other team in the A-10. Richmond is behaving like a low-level CAA team. And obviously we lost to a low-level CAA team this year, Elon. As a Richmond fan, like there's really no reason to be optimistic for next year. You got one good player in Argabright who you could build around, and if he has any sense about him, he's probably going to go somewhere else and get paid where they care about winning. So it's just incredibly frustrating. And I think what I would say in closing, for anyone that doubts like how widespread this feeling is among the fan base, go talk to a Richmond fan and ask them what they think. And I think what you're going to hear is very similar to what I'm telling you right here.
Ryan, I appreciate you calling in and letting it be known, because I think it is a really tough spot. I think with that comment on Friday and then Saturday having that. I mean, you hit the nail on the head multiple times over. And it's a great point, because I think the fact that there was no comment after John Hart said that they are bringing back Mooney, nothing like, we're going to invest more in our men's basketball program. We're looking at X, Y, and Z. We want to see improved growth in these facets of the game. It was nothing like that. At least from what we saw, it was just that he's coming back and no further explanation. And I do think at a certain point, the fans deserve an explanation on why that decision is made, because getting a peek into the decision-making process may actually have the fans, I think, come around on the idea maybe a little bit more. You did make a point where you said not know if Mooney is the guy that can turn it around. I think he can. I think he has shown that he has an eye for talent, specifically in the high school ranks, bringing in an Aiden Argabright type, bringing in countless other impactful players. But I think the transfer portal has been a bit of a black eye as of recently with the Richmond Spiders. And I just don't know how much of a buy-in there is with the Spiders. They've got to find something this offseason. This is a huge offseason. You've got to find a way to keep Aiden Argabright. You've got to find a way to bring in 2 to 3 impactful transfers to fill out the rest of the roster, because you look at the guys they're losing, like an AJ Lopez, like a Will Johnston. You're going to have to replace that production. Mike Walls is, of course, gone. Jonathan Beagle, he's gone. There's so many holes that you're going to have to replace. You're going to have to hit the transfer portal hard. And these last 2 seasons, they have been tough on Richmond. Last 2 seasons, they've gone 2-10 against, last 3 years, they've gone 2-10. But the last 2, they've gone 1-7 against Q1 teams, 0-8 against Q2 teams. You look at 2024, they went 23-10, 15-3 in Atlantic 10 play. You've got to get back to that 2023-24 type of system, that type of success. That was the last time they finished the year ranked in the top 90 of KenPom. They've done that, since COVID? They've done that 3 times, but they haven't done it the last 2 years. Right now, they're hovering around 150 in KenPom. Last year, they were hovering around 250 in KenPom. Got to figure something out to find some sort of rhythm. And I think it's going to be a massive offseason for the Richmond Spiders. That's just the way it is. And across town, you see a team that has had tremendous success, and I think that doesn't help Richmond Spider fans at all. You see your crosstown rival having success after success after success with coach after coach after coach, and it's just like, why can't that be us?
I'm going to be gone for the rest of the week, so I guess I can go ahead and just say what I want to say. VCU and Richmond are not rivals. It might be rivals by location. It's not rivals on paper. It's not rivals in results.
Man, you're throwing a grenade into the show. And having
attended both universities, it's frustrating to keep hearing. I mean, I know it's inevitable. Like you have to compare yourself to the team closest to you, and then they're in the same city, and you see their success. But this conversation in and of itself lets you know that these programs have never operated in the same stratosphere whatsoever. And I'm not jumping on Coach Mooney, but the situation that he's in right now wouldn't even be an issue at VCU. He would have been let go a long time ago. The expectations are totally different. You don't get 20 years. You get 3 to do what the last guy did, and if you don't do it, you're probably out of there. We just haven't made it. We haven't made it long enough. Yeah.
Like even Rhodes, he had good success.
Yeah,
more
and they
success
wanted him gone.
And I've heard rumblings that he wasn't coming back, and that's why he took the Penn State job. It was kind of like this,
and people still speak negatively about him. And I'm like, I like the guy. I didn't think he was that bad.
But yeah, I mean, it's a really tough spot for Richmond to be in. And I do say, I don't agree with the comment, or I guess the statement being put out on Friday night and having no additional statement to go along with that. I do wish Richmond put out a statement like, we're standing behind Chris Mooney. We want to see growth in these facets of the game. We are going to invest more in the program to see more success. And I know I often have Richmond compare it to JMU, right? But JMU, they made March Madness a couple of years ago. Mark Byington leaves. He goes to Vanderbilt. Year 1 with Preston Spradlin was good, not great. Everyone had high hopes for this year with Preston Spradlin. He brings in essentially an entirely new roster as his life at the mid-major level, right? And a couple of those guys he whiffed on, and the team was, frankly, underwhelming in Harrisonburg. And fans have been calling for Spradlin's job. And this is a fan base that has not seen a ton of success. Just a couple of years ago, they were one of the worst teams in Division I men's basketball. Now they're calling for coaches' jobs after a lackluster second year under a new man. But you know what Matt Rohn did, the athletic director? He came out, he said, we stand by Spradlin, and he went on to build that we are going to invest in the men's basketball program so that it aligns with the expectations of our fan base, and we're going to give Coach Spradlin the necessary things for him to be successful in the Sun Belt. Like, that's something that John Hart easily could have said, the athletic director of Richmond, just to, if that is something that you truly mean.
And it's also, it's the gift and the curse of NIL. You can rebuild so quickly, and you can lose it just as fast.
Yeah.
And you're losing face value and status amongst recruits, amongst people who are looking in the NIL portal, right? Like you got to have some sustained success to help with rebuilding the program and going in a different direction. And losing to Loyola Chicago, being on SportsCenter top 10 for stuff like that, all those things just are not good looks.
No,
so it's got to be a drastic overhaul. And I think what everybody's asking for, even you're asking for, is some accountability from administration and the university
and from Mooney, from both, to be like, look, these have not been good years. And I think like any other school likely would have fired Mooney. It is kind of crazy that he's coming back for a 22nd year after what these last couple of years have been. It's kind of crazy for that. I think I would have fired Chris Mooney after this past season. 21 years is a really long time. Did a lot of great things with Richmond, but I think it's time for fresh scenery for both sides. But they decided to bring him back for another year. You need to have some sort of accountability that says why that decision was made and how you avoid what's happened the last 2 years. Yeah. Those are two big things.
I love Coach Mooney. I think he's a nice guy. Business is business, man. I can't even defend what happened on
and then
Saturday.
Like what Ryan said on that call, the additional part of that is that you say he's coming back next year, and then you have the worst meltdown in program history the next day. That's not good.
I went inside to get ready for my engagement. They were up by like 25, and I came back out, and it's a game that's tied, and then to tip it, I was like literally shocked. I don't know what to say.
And now we talked about in hour one. You had the Mason win, then you fall to VCU and Davidson in games that give you hope. Your final 4 games of the season are all winnable games. You're in a position to avoid the pillow fight round. You easily could go 4-0, 3-1 over that stretch. Instead, you go 1-3. You lose the final 3 games of the season, and you can't get out of the pillow fight round. That's a tough look. And now you face off against Loyola Chicago. Just it kind of snowballing, and there's a bad taste in Spider fans' mouths. And having that bad taste heading into an offseason never inspires hope. And it's going to be a massive offseason. Aiden Argabright, you've got to retain him. I know I keep harping on this. You've got to retain him. And then you've got to nail 2 to 3 transfer kids. And then you might be able to be competitive in the Atlantic 10. These are a lot of ifs. It's a big opportunity and a big spot. Mooney has to prove himself, and the Richmond administration has to step up and let him do that and let him prove himself and give him the necessary things that will make him successful.
And to the texter saying UR has the money, for the last season, money. It's all I hear from Spider fans and people when they talk about Richmond. Money. We know you got the money. Everybody's got the money somewhere, but you're not spending it wisely. Clearly, whether you think it's the coach or the players, no matter how much money you put into something like this, if you put money into a car with a bad engine, it's going to fail you every time, right? Like fix your engine then, and then put some nice rims on the car, get some tint and things like that. But right now, the engine on the Richmond Spiders program is not functioning properly. So it makes no sense to keep pouring money into the program and coming back with this result. Fix the issues first, and then let's start talking about the money.
And look, and sometimes to keep building on that analogy, sometimes if you keep bringing your engine in and your engine's still broke, sometimes it's the mechanic. and we got to figure that out at this point. All right, let's get a break in here. Step aside. A lot of breaking news has come out as the legal tampering period has begun in the NFL. We'll break that down, as well as a huge high school football game for next season. I know we're in March, but a massive high school football game has been announced for next season. We'll talk about that as well coming up on Fitz the Bill.
Pump up the volume.
Business moves fast. Orders roll in, deadlines close in. When you ship with USPS Ground Advantage, you can keep up with confidence. Every package stays in our secure network from dock to door. And with nationwide reach, dependable tracking, and upfront affordable pricing, you get built-in peace of mind. You run the business. We run the routes. Visit USPS.com/Ground Advantage to learn more.
How can you grow your business from idea to industry leader? With smart business buying tools and technology from Amazon Business. From fast, free shipping to in-depth buying insights and automated purchase approvals, we deliver everything you need. Go to AmazonBusiness.com for support.
Even if you've given up on your New Year's resolutions, one health habit that's easy to keep is Active Liver from New Nordic. Active Liver protects your liver so you can enjoy life to the fullest. Online at Amazon, in stores at CVS, Walgreens, and now GNC.
This is Brennan Wells, the owner of Pro Weld Fabricators. We are a Richmond-based company. We are here for all of your welding projects.
Bradley Hicks here with Pro Weld Fabricators. We bring all the right tools to your doorstep. Emergency repair? No problem. We're available 24/7. For all commercial and residential needs, you need Pro Weld Fabricators. Learn more about Pro Weld Fabricators and check out some of our awesome projects at pro-weldfabricators.com.
Pro Weld Fabricators is your number one source for any of your commercial welding needs.
Yo, Harvey, Zoe, group selfie.
Ooh, nice new iPhone 17, Drewski.
Let's do a triangle formation. I'm in front.
With a center stage front camera, everyone fits in the shot.
He got it at T-Mobile.
But switching takes forever.
Not anymore. Now you can switch to T-Mobile in just 15 minutes.
Focus, people. Nail your pose.
And you get a new iPhone 17 on them.
No way.
Yes way.
No way.
Yes way, guys. Switch to T-Mobile and get iPhone 17 on us. And right now, we'll pay off your old phone up to $800.
I'm grabbing my phone and switching to T-Mobile right now.
Get back, Harvey. We're taking a... Let's go again, y'all.
With 24 monthly bill credits, finance agreement, 256 gigabytes, $830, eligible trade-in, example iPhone 13, and new qualifying line, $60 plus per month plan with auto pay plus taxes and fees. For well-qualified customers, plus tax and $35 device connection charge. Credit end and balance due if you pay off early or cancel. Contact us. $800 via virtual prepaid card. Card typically takes 15 days after rebate submission, no cash access, and card expires in 6 months. Check out in 15 minutes per line. Visit T-Mobile.com.
Coming up on the Monday edition of the Sports Huddle, we'll recap a wild weekend of college basketball and get you set for conference tournament action all week long. 4 until 6 here on 106.1 ESPN.
Overreaction Monday.
The Dallas Cowboys are so stupid.
Goofy.
Like
the goofiest of the goofy.
So they just traded a day 3 pick to get Rashawn Gary from the Green Bay Packers.
Because it makes so much sense.
Granted, the Packers were going to release Rashawn Gary, and kind of what we were talking about earlier, you sometimes float out the fact you're going to cut him to maybe try and get a team to bite because Gary likely wouldn't have signed with Dallas. So they get in the front of the line, they get the trade, blah, 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 whatever. What are you like? You traded away Micah Parsons last year. And in return, essentially what that draft pick has netted you is Quinnen Williams, a first rounder, and now Rashawn Gary. Like, that doesn't inspire confidence in me. Rashawn Gary is a former first round draft pick. He is a pass rusher. So what you're telling me is you would rather have Quinnen Williams plus Rashawn Gary over Micah Parsons. That just does not seem like the good business to me.
Yeah, you talk about impact of position is not quite the same, although Quinnen Williams is definitely an upgrade for anything that they had interior defensive line. It's just, I mean, I'm not going to trade. I guess the best defensive lineman I would trade for an edge rusher would have to be like Aaron Donald level. Like maybe that. And even then, if the edge rusher I'm trading is Micah Parsons, that's a no-go for me.
I don't get what they're thinking in Dallas. I don't get it. Schottenheimer did a really good job in year 1 as the head coach, but like what the front office is doing just makes no sense. Yeah. No sense.
Yeah, no. My overreaction, I'll go NFL since you went NFL first, and that is I don't care if Jalen Carter is a menace. He ain't getting traded. Like not under this rookie deal. Like I know he's got to get the extension. And for the folks who are confused as to why this is popping up, the Eagles just extended Jordan Davis, I believe.
Yep.
They want to bring back Phillips. I mean, people are not stupid, right? Like, you can't pay them all. So, what's up with your boy Jalen Carter, right? I totally understand that, but just also know the answer will be and should be no. And if it's not no, we are not trading him because he's a head case. Your entire team is a head case. You keep talent like that. In his first 3 seasons, he is on the level of Quentin Williams and Chris Jones. I shouldn't have to come on air and defend this, but this is ridiculous. You're not trading Jalen Carter.
No, they're not going to trade him. And all that they have said is that they've received the phone calls. And any good GM worth his salt, right, is going to listen to trade offers.
Yeah, it's manners.
That's what I do when I play NBA 2K or Madden or whatever. I'll see my trade offer and I'll go, you know what? Let me think about it. Decline. It's just nice.
Yeah,
I'm always going to look at trade offers.
I hear you, but no. Yeah, I agree with you.
I'm always going to look, but I'm not always going to accept. And look, if you called me and you said Jalen Carter will give you 3 firsts, you know what I'm doing? Hey, have fun with Jalen Carter. I'll take your 3 firsts. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But you only figure that out if you take the calls.
Exactly.
So you got to take the calls sometimes. Overreaction. St. Louis did this to themselves. St. Louis,
karma.
Act like you've been there before, man.
But they haven't.
I know, but
it was great.
So
it was great.
If you didn't see what happened over the weekend, or I guess dating back to last week even, St. Louis beat Loyola Chicago in their penultimate regular season game. When they won that game, it assured that they would win a share of the Atlantic 10. So to celebrate, they did the whole thing. They set up the ladder. They cut down the nets. They had themselves a little bit of a celebration. They were feeling themselves. Then they still had a game to play. They still had to play Mason. And if they beat Mason, they win the outright regular season title. But Mason, they took a little exception to the fact that St. Louis was so celebratory in the game before their game. Tony Skinn, after, which was a Mason win, said it's a dangerous thing when you cut down the nets a little bit too early, and that gave us all the life and all the motivation we needed. So St. Louis falls to 3-3 over their final 6 games, and they are now 15-3 in Atlantic 10 play, meaning they don't win the outright regular season title. No. They instead win a share of the Atlantic 10 title. They are the 1 seed heading into Pittsburgh, but they are not the outright champions. They celebrated a little bit too early, and they have fallen all the way down to 25th in the recent AP Top 25.
I've never seen a tweet saved so quickly. When they put that tweet out with Avila, I guess it was him cutting down the net. Yeah, man, there was so many hearts and retweets and stuff on Saturday. Hilarious. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I never even imagined that Mason would beat them based on how they had been playing down the stretch.
But Mason, a bunch of dogs.
Yeah, here we are, man. I love it. My overreaction is that we play baseball wrong in America. It sucks. There's
too many unwritten rules.
I don't even think it's unwritten rules. There's just no life in it, man. I've watched the World Baseball Classic, and I've been so happy watching every single game. I'm happy with Team USA as well, just because of their results. But the energy, man, and the Panamanians or Panama team, all across Israel, Great Britain, all of them, man, they just have the right energy for baseball. And I just pray that we watch this as a country and as a league, and we allow these guys to actually be human, play with some emotion. It's good. It's fun. You should be able to celebrate when you do something cool. You should be able to have fun in the game. So
I agree wholeheartedly.
That's my overreaction.
World Baseball Classic makes us all realize that baseball's more fun everywhere else.
And actually, it's opened my eyes to how global the sport is.
Yeah.
I knew it was growing, but not like this. This is crazy.
Yeah, it's fun. It is fun, and I hope we take up. I said this after last year's World Baseball Classic. I say it again this year. I hope they figure something out about it, like the pomp and the circumstance and the crazy fans, everything like that needs to come to MLB, and it needs to be part of baseball culture here in America. Not really an overreaction. Maybe it's an overreaction. Maybe not. What a game we've got set on the docket, September 4th. And I know it's March 9th, so it's still a ways away. But it was announced yesterday that Huguenot will travel to Highland Springs on September 4th for a huge high school football showdown. We're getting the schedules coming out already. Dinwiddie released their full schedule. They also play Highland Springs. We've already got a couple of fantastic games on the schedule for next year that Fitz the Bill might be headed out to. Talk of the town.
Battle of the concessions, too. They were 1 and 2.
They were
right?
1 and 2. This one's at Highland Springs. So, Highland Springs, maybe they get an early stake in the claim.
Oh, God.
Huguenot, the reigning winners of the concession stand battle.
For sure.
Can Highland Springs step up in year 2?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. This is going to be great football coming up in high school for sure. Should be a continuation of some of the awesome football we saw last year as well.
Yeah, and Huguenot, they've got their quarterback coming back. I think he's a junior next year. Where Highland Springs, they had a lot of seniority on that roster, very veteran-heavy team. But as we all know, Highland Springs, they don't rebuild, they reload. They've got so much talent across that roster. They should be tops in the region again. Huguenot as well, looking to kind of break through that proverbial wall this year that has been Verina the last couple.
All right, so I'm not going to be here for the rest of the week, so I might as well be controversial.
Jalen Hurts, not a top 10 quarterback. No. I agree, Alan. Oh, wow.
Best crowd pop in any sport, right? We're talking when something amazing happens and the crowd swells. Best crowd pop goes to baseball without a doubt. Without a doubt.
I'm trying to think of a rebuttal. I mean, a kickoff return for a touchdown in a close game is a pretty close crowd pop.
Nothing like a home run. Nothing like a home run.
I will say a home run has the best highlight crowd pop because you hear the crack of the bat and the silence, and then all of a sudden you hear the, you know what I mean? Like that's. I don't fully agree. You're stirring the pot a little bit.
Hockey has a little bit of a claim, but the horn
outweighs it. Yeah,
the horn is definitely undefeated.
I did kind of like the lack of a horn in the Olympics.
No, not at all. Give me my horn.
Okay, you like the
yes, literally.
I like the red light. I think the red light's a fun little thing. Imagine any other sport has like a horn like that. Like you hit a home run and it's just like, and you're like, okay, heck yeah, that's how you do it. All right, that'll do it for Fitz the Bill. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place on your dial. Caitlin Free will be joining us tomorrow as well as we get set for the Virginia Derby later on this week. Have a great day.
Your home for Richmond Spiders athletics all year round. W291CL Lakeside Richmond. WURV HD2 Richmond. We are 106.1 ESPN.